So as we said, there are two types of methods, subroutines and functions. Now, functions, if you recall, they had like an output. So, for example, when you use the integer convert to integer function, you put something in there that wasn't an integer, and it converted it to an integer, and then it had the output was the new value, the value that was an integer. So it has an output. Or here's another example, the format function. So you put some things in, and it does something, and then it outputs that value, right? So, and then you can say, what this outputs, you set equal to this. What this outputs, you set equal to this. What this outputs, you set equal to this. So it outputs something, and then you can assign that output to some other variable or somewhere else. So it does have an output. But if you think about a subroutine, it really doesn't have an output. It does things. It does lots of things, but you don't say, oh, this equals something else. You don't do that. Okay, so a subroutine doesn't output things. It performs actions, but it doesn't have an output. It's a little bit of a subtle idea, but it is true. It doesn't output something. It performs actions. A little bit different. So we can distinguish subroutines and functions. So subroutines do not return a value, that they don't output something. And of course, they're declared using the stub keyword. And functions, these do return a value. They do output something. And they're declared using the function keyword, which we haven't used yet. Okay, so we haven't defined our own functions yet. So we haven't used this. We have defined our own subroutines. So we did use this. Actually, we didn't write it, but Visual Basic put it there for us. Visual Studio put it there for us. Each of these method types, so two types of methods, subroutines and functions, encapsulates a block of code for reuse. So let's not get into that too deeply right now. Encapsulate means to compartmentalize a block of code into a localized modular unit to simplify use and allow reuse of that code. Okay. The method is defined from the first line, called the method declaration. This is where when we define the method. This line starts with either sub. The method is defined from the first line, called the method declaration. This line starts with sub or function keyword. And the method ends at the end sub, which you've seen, or end function at the bottom. Right? The code we put inside the block is called the method definition.